But American officials warn these numbers should be suspect, as National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told a reporter at a White House briefing.
So the Gaza Health Ministry, obviously run by Hamas, said about 700 people were killed in an Israeli airstrike today. First of all, is that a figure that the U.S. government can verify?
No. And I think he was right by you saying that the Ministry of Health is run by Hamas, and I think that all needs to be factored into anything that they put out publicly.
Joining us now to help break it all down is Stephen A. Cook. He's a senior fellow for Middle East and Africa Studies at the Council on Foreign Relations. Steve, it's great to have you back. First, I just want to say at the outset, there are civilians in Gaza who are suffering terribly and who are dying as a result of these Israeli airstrikes. This is a fact of war, and this is a war that was begun by this terrorist attack on October 7th. So having said that, can you tell me how controlled is this Gaza Health Ministry by Hamas? Is there any degree of separation there?
There really isn't. Since Hamas took over the Gaza Strip in 2007 in a short and violent civil war between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority, which is based in the West Bank, Hamas has taken over all of the government functions of the Gaza Strip. As a result, those ministers who are speaking to the media and other officials are employees of Hamas. They are the Hamas government. Even those Palestinians who may be independent in the Gaza Strip live under a state of coercion that it would be harmful to them if they were to speak out against Hamas or counter the Hamas narrative.
And for anybody who would say, oh, come on, they're not going to lie about the number of people who were killed, they would. I mean, this is a PR war, and it's already had very real consequences. We just saw that the American president was snubbed by two leaders in the Middle East, and part of his meeting canceled as a result of this, and widespread protests around the world.
That's exactly right. Not only was a consequence for American diplomacy, but the media outlets that reported the story of Al-Ahli Hospital at face value, based on what Hamas had told them, are at least indirectly responsible for those large protests around the region that led to the canceling of this summit between President Biden, the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, as well as the Jordanian King Abdullah. So there is a major information war that is underway. And although, as you point out quite rightly, there are civilians who are suffering terribly and civilians who are being killed in the Gaza Strip, there is a difference here. The Israelis have tried to avoid killing civilians. They make mistakes, but they did leaflet the Gaza Strip, tell people to get out of the way, whereas Hamas has specifically targeted civilians in this conflict. Yet Hamas wants the world to believe that the Israelis are monsters and have thus inflated the casualty count in the Strip, which is too many. But of course, like I said, and like you've emphasized, this is an information war as well as a war being fought with rockets and bullets and bombs.
An information war that has already reaped rewards for Hamas, as we see in the example of this hospital attack. And by the way, Hamas has presented zero evidence to support its claim that it was an Israeli missile, and it says we don't have to, provide any evidence, which says a lot. In this case, this isn't symmetric. We have a nation who is trying to abide by the international rules of war, the laws around war. Believe it or not, there are such rules. And we have a terrorist organization that went in and killed many civilians, many babies, toddlers, children, took as hostage babies, toddlers, children, senior citizens, Holocaust survivors, civilians. It is not... we have one side trying to obey these rules and another flouting them and still claiming to have the humanitarian high ground.
And the topsy-turvy nature of this conflict makes it such that there are journalists out there and others who have taken Hamas's claims at face value. I think it's something that at least the BBC and to some extent the New York Times, although I read the New York Times statement and listened to an interview with the executive editor of the New York Times, they didn't exactly take responsibility.
No.
But nevertheless, I think it has taught people a lesson here that much of the casualty figures need to be qualified, that the Hamas-controlled Ministry of Health numbers that cannot be verified independently. I think it's very, very important. It's hard to independently verify anything during a war anyway, which gives an advantage to the propagandists in these conflicts.
Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.